Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Arsenalholics. Thank you for tuning in. Raj, Aaron, and how are we doing?
Good, man.
Good evening. Good evening.
I was just checking that my mic was working correctly, but carry on. Talk without me. Yeah.
No big loss if it wasn't.
Shut up. Yeah. No, really good. But we won, man. Like, this is amazing. Like, it just
How does it feel?
It feels spectacular.
Yeah, I rediscovered Match of the Day, which was nice.
Me too, actually.
Probably only ever get to watch it one or two more times this season. That was nice.
Come on, guys. Bringing the episode down already. Yeah, exactly.
No. We're going to watch Match of the Day every bloody week from now on.
It's amazing how that really affects you, isn't it? Like, I haven't watched Match of the Day this season, and until the one just gone. Like, just no appetite to watch any football when Arsenal lose. I just completely want to stay away from it.
That's interesting because I'm the opposite. Not the opposite, but I'm quite happy to watch as much football as I can consume, really. Probably because I don't get the chance to watch as much as I'd like in general across the weekend of Premier League games. So when it comes on, I get the opportunity to watch it. I do try to watch it, but yeah, I don't mind even if I guess maybe I've just got used to us not having great results over the last few seasons. So
yeah, if you don't watch football, then when Arsenal aren't winning, then you probably don't watch
football. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you're kind of right.
Oh, it's good to see you guys again. Obviously, we're recording Tuesday night, so a few days after the win. Obviously, we were together on Saturday. And like you said, Raj, it was a good result. Result that we really needed. The team needed, Arteta needed, the fans needed, and we got it just about. Raj, it was your first game back at the Emirates. If we sort of don't count the Brighton game at the back end of last season, it's the first kind of proper game back, full capacity crowd. And I know that you were excited to be back. How was it for you? Because obviously myself, Aaron and Nero went to the Chelsea game a couple of weeks ago. So how was it for you in terms of just like building up to the game and, going back to the Emirates and all of that, doing the regular things that you've been doing in terms of that, the trip up and everything?
Well, it was the perfect day. I mean, aside from, as you know, my train got delayed, so I couldn't meet you earlier for a beer. Aside from, having that extra beer, it was perfect because, I mean, the sun was glorious. It was just the greatest weather, for a September. You never know what you're going to get. It was great weather. Went up to the stadium. It felt like, everyone was in a pretty good place. And I think, when we got, because obviously there's increased checks at the moment, right? Like when you get to the stadium. So you go up the stairs past the armory, and at the moment they've got checks there, which they haven't had previously. So there's like that added like congregation there. And that's when the team news came out when we were there. And seeing the team news, there was that extra buzz because we got a lot of new signings playing, and then going through to the concourse, and the Tottenham Palace game was on. It was brilliant. Like that whole build up to the game, it just felt so good to be back. And honestly, I mean, we can go into this a little bit more when we talk about the game itself, but after the last few weeks, especially of just constant negativity on social media and feeling like almost getting lulled into a sense of feeling that this is what Arsenal fans are all like at the moment, and this is what it's like to be an Arsenal fan, and all this negativity. And when it got to the ground, I was like, no, do you know what? This is what it's all about. And I missed this camaraderie, this positivity, this let's get behind the team. And it was fantastic. Loved it.
And I think that's a massive point. It's a really important point to make. And I've seen a few people tweet that following the game. There's this really big misconception around the stuff that gets sprouted on Twitter by people that call themselves Arsenal fans. I'm not saying that they're not, but anyone can label themselves a fan of any club on social media. And yeah, it's a lot of negativity. It's a lot of sort of short-term thinking. And yeah, once you get to the ground, you get to the game, it's you don't see any of that really. I know we saw it at the back end of Wenger's reign, and the crowd was split in the ground, but I think that was over years and years of frustration and not there being not much change. But I didn't see any of that. Even when kind of back at end of the first half and going into half time and before we scored, even then you didn't really notice any frustration within the crowd. There was a bit of like are we going to score kind of feeling and the nervousness coming through. But no one was getting on the players' backs. No one was getting on Arteta's back. And I think it was just generally like really, really positive, and the crowd really did get behind the team.
Yeah. I genuinely think at least the people in the ground, I think they've bought into this process of what we are trying to do with buying younger players and actually building something. And the fact that we did play pretty much all of them actually on Saturday, that helped a lot because it buys time, because everyone's excited. People are a bit more forgiving. We can talk about the team selection in probably more detail, but he could have easily played El Neni, Cedric, or Chambers, maybe Marie if he was fit, and played a very old Arsenal lineup, and I think that would have affected the mood. And I think the team news massively affected the mood in the ground, because it felt, especially compared to Miles, we went to the Chelsea game, right? It genuinely felt like the start of the season again. Like we had the first 3 games. It didn't go well, and it's like a lot of old, like there was Xhaka was there, and then he get games. Chambers was there. This felt like a new team. It felt like a new start, and that's why I think the mood in the ground was the way it was. And like you said, Raj, it was a really nice day. Sun was out. I saw a really cool thread on Twitter of like people bringing their kids to the games for the first time. It felt like an occasion, and I really like that.
Definitely.
What do you think? Because you talked about that in the last podcast, Aaron, and about the need for him to potentially integrate these new signings. I think you were spot on. Like you've just said, I think it did have an impact. I thought what was interesting is if you would ask many Arsenal fans after the window finished, what is the back five that we're clearly aspiring to have and to get to? It would have been the back five that played. And I think I felt a sense of, oh, wow, it's happening now. Do you know what I mean? It's happening right now. Like I had that enthusiasm when I saw that lineup. I was like, like you said, predicted that, he may end up being a bit conservative, and, would you have blamed him for playing Leno? You probably wouldn't, but like he kind of just really went for it. And I think, I definitely felt that the crowd vibed on that.
It was finally him being ruthless to a certain extent, saying, actually, this is the team that I'm building towards. So I'm just going to go and, execute that plan and play the team, play the back five that I see as the long-term future for this club. Like, for example, he didn't really need to play Tomiyasu at right back. Like that guy had just come from Japan, from Roma or Bologna, 3 days ago. Well, no, he played on international duty for Japan and just come in.
He just got his work permit.
Just come in, rocked up, probably maybe trained once or twice. He could have easily played Cedric there or Chambers there. And people would have understood. But at the same time, he didn't. He went for it, gave him 60 minutes. And I think that helped just, it was a glimpse of the future, if that makes sense, about this is what we're building. We've heard so much about this plan, the process, and it was nice to see the process start to come together.
It's encouraging. It was encouraging. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I guess like you've got Xhaka back in a couple of games, which will probably be the Spurs game. Interesting to see what happens there. Yeah. But yeah, look, I mean, like you said, pre-game, it was really buoyant. The fans were well behind the team. That the Palace result or the Spurs loss really helped. We were watching that on the screens, weren't we, Raj? And the Vieira chants going around. I think you got a little video of it and put it on the social, on our socials. And I think probably that chant was probably the loudest of the day the Vieira chant, which was nice. But yeah, no, it's a fantastic atmosphere. I mean, look, just going into the game, and I guess like really quickly touching on the team lineup. As you guys said, there was obviously Ramsdale's first Premier League start. Tomiyasu came straight in. He went with Wyatt and Gabriel. Maitland-Niles in central midfield, which was a big surprise, I think. It definitely was for me. Thomas Partey wasn't quite fit, and probably the expected front four as well, with ESR not quite 100% from England under 21 duty. So just really quickly, guys, just thoughts on the lineup. Aside from the players you mentioned, the kind of the freshness that the new guys have brought in. Any other major thoughts or anything else? Like Ainsley Maitland-Niles was an interesting choice, wasn't it?
I think there wasn't a person in the stadium that probably predicted that. Yeah, Maitland-Niles playing, and I think particularly in central midfield. But we spoke about it in the last podcast about when he's given the opportunities, he absolutely has to take him. And what I really liked about this was clearly Arteta going, all right, do you know what? You really want it? Do it. And you've got to perform. And on one hand, like that was, probably a good idea from a motivational perspective. But from a tactical perspective, I thought what was interesting is playing Maitland-Niles in the team, whether you start him at central midfield or right back, it does allow you to flex your lineup a little bit. When you make substitutions, then tactically him being able to play different positions allows you to do slightly different things, which is actually what we saw, right? When we brought on Partey and ESR, and then he moved out to right back and when Tomiyasu went off. So it surprised. It definitely surprised me. But and I think, yes, playing that back five was surprising, just given White and Gabriel. That was going to be the first time they played together, plus this new right back, plus Ramsdale's first one. But I think the other than that, the top set generally, that was kind of as predicted, right?
Yeah. All right, cool. Look, first half we seemed to start. I think we started quite well. There seemed to be some energy within the team, and I think the first sort of 15, 20 minutes or so was good. But it seemed to get a bit flat towards the end of the first half. And I think we went in at halftime kind of wondering and asking the same questions around, where's a goal going to come from? Basically, 3.5 Premier League games without a goal. Like, what were your thoughts on the first half, guys?
It was, I thought we started really well. And there seems to be a bit of a trend where we spend the first 10 minutes, really going for it and hardly ever scoring. I don't remember us ever scoring early on in this season or last. And then, going, and then we kind of let Norwich into it, and they had a few half chances. But I always felt comfortable in how we defended, and I thought, especially because in that first half where we sit behind the goal that Arsenal were defending, and therefore we got a real good look at Ramsdale, Ben White, and Gabriel, and I thought they were all three of them were really, really good. And yes, I know it's Norwich, not the strongest attack in the world, but I thought defensively we were pretty comfortable. It was just a case I was starting to worry, like, was this going to be another one of those days where we really struggle to create clear-cut chances?
Because when you look at the stats, and in the end of the game, I think, it shows that we had 30 shots on goal. And I think the way that it breaks down is there were 20 shots on goal up to when we scored, and then 10 shots on goal afterwards. And in fairness, I think, it's relatively consistent with the timeline, therefore, because I think we scored on around 65. Is it? Something like that?
Yeah.
So I think like there was a consistent, but what I did feel like is that I feel like it's Arteta's job to get us, into that final third and almost getting us creating chances. I feel like that's his job. And I feel like he could probably turn around against Norwich and say, I set us up in a way in which we were able to create enough and we were having enough attempts on target. Attempts on goal. And then I felt that it's about the execution of the players in the final third. And I think that's where we lacked a little bit. Potentially, is it a confidence thing? Like, I hope so. I hope it was just a bit of a confidence thing, because you'd hope if we play that game back again, if we did exactly the same thing again, in a week's time, you'd hope we'd score more than that, because certainly Oba had a couple of chances that you would, expect him to score at least one or two of those. ESR had a cracking chance later on in the game, and Pepe had was a constant threat, I thought. So it was a bit hard to analyze because like you said, you're right. Like you go in at half time and it's 0-0 and you haven't scored a goal all season, and what must be going through the players' heads?
Yeah, like it was weird because although, like I said, in the first half, I thought we weren't great. And generally I thought it felt at the time that we didn't create a lot of chances. I watched Match of the Day. I watched the highlights. Sorry, I don't think I watched it online or Match of the Day, whatever. And we did actually create quite a few chances, but it didn't feel like that at the time. And I don't know if that was. I don't know if you.
No,
guys
I agree with you. It didn't feel like 30.
But,
I mean, that's the second most amount of chances we've created since the Man United game where we lost 2-1 to that De Gea performance, and that was 30. That was 37 shots that we had that day, and this is the second highest since then.
Yeah, I think because a lot of them were like blocks or like quite last-ditch tackles that afterward shot and goals. They didn't make it to the goal, but we did. Yeah, on another day, you're right. Like we could and probably should have scored a few more to make it comfortable.
Yeah, because I think that observation previously about blocks, etc., is an important one because although we had 30 shots, it didn't feel like their goalkeeper played a blinder.
Yeah. Fair point. Yeah.
I was encouraged, by some of the stuff that I saw from Oba though, because it feels like, guys, it feels like the West Brom game and the Carling Cup was like the Carabao Cup was a real blessing because just thinking about it, when I think about Oba's really good seasons for us, they've been seasons where a predominant portion of his goals has been all around kind of movement and kind of waiting for, the right kind of rebound or whatever, just like really, really sniffing. And those seasons where he's getting like about 15 to 20 goals like that without even having to think, then he's also adding some, those extra kind of more special goals. But that confidence is coming through what he does as his bread and butter, which is the sniffing around, right place, right time, bang. And last season, I think he probably wasn't doing enough of that and felt like he was trying too hard sometimes. And I think in the Carabao Cup game, you saw him get his first 2 goals through just kind of being like, well, listen, let me just try and sniff out like I've done in my career, and getting 2 goals, in without really breaking a sweat. And then his third goal is vintage quality, kind of, individual quality over. And I saw more of that actually against Norwich. I felt that he was really patrolling, like really trying to sense for rebounds, really trying to think about where the ball was going to bounce. Ultimately, that's how we got our goal, right?
Yeah, it is how we got our goal. I mean, look, I think it was just before the goal, wasn't it? The subs that Arteta made, which seemed to change the dynamic of the game, and they definitely improved us, like Thomas Partey coming on and Smith Rowe as well. And yeah, like I guess it's probably, we should probably give him a bit of credit. I mean, they're kind of obvious substitutions when you're 0-0 at home to Norwich with a sort of half an hour to go. But we've given him stick for his subs before, but they were 2 pretty positive subs, and they did make the difference. Partey was involved in the goal. Eosar was really, really impressive when he came on. He should have probably scored as well. And like I said, that seemed to change. That seemed to give us a little bit more oomph and a bit more impetus going forward. And another guy that I was actually debating with one of my mates who's an Arsenal fan after the game. It was Nicolas Pepe, because we had completely polar opinions on how he played. We were sort of like, great that we got the win, good result, kickstart from here. And I said, my man of the match was Pepe. I don't know if I think he was named officially. He was officially named man of the match. I could be wrong.
I think Oba was.
Oh, was he? Okay, yeah. So I must have seen something else on Twitter. But yeah, and I sort of thought, I thought Pepe was probably, again, very, very dangerous. Always trying to create something out of nothing. Always trying to take a player on. Trying to take a risk, and often it doesn't come off for him. But yeah, he was so unlucky with the goal. Like, it was a really well hit shot. He's trying to, as always, bend it into that far corner with his left foot. And I think Tim Krul didn't get a touch on it. He pushed it onto the post, and it was unlucky when it came back to him. And I think it was unlucky before that. There was a chance where he was like point blank range, and he, just hit it on target, and the defender made a really good block. And I think he had something like 6 shots and 6 chances created, something like that. And it was overall a pretty impressive performance from him. But I think there's still a number of Arsenal fans that I feel give him unfair stick. because even when he unless he's producing the goals and assists and the numbers, I don't think the other contributions that he gives are necessarily valued or noticed as much. And I think it's just a price tag thing. It's quite an interesting thing, really. I was having a good debate with a mate about it. But yeah, I guess with the goal as well, Raj, you touched, Oba in the right place at the right time. I was really confused with that goal because it looked like on the replay it was going to be not that it was going to be disallowed, but I think we all feared it was going to be disallowed because it looked like he was offside. But I still don't I haven't actually checked why it wasn't disallowed. Do you guys know?
I agree with you. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was effectively the keeper that ended up playing him onside by kind of getting in the way of the ball. I think it was a bit confusing, but had it been clean, I think that he probably would have been offside. But it was very scrappy, and now you can't really celebrate goals, can you? So I definitely was nervous about it. But if I just come back to your point on Pepe, without him causing that kind of havoc on that side, we don't score that goal. Like you say, he was very unlucky, and I shared the same view as you. I thought he was really good, but I think you'll always look at it in one angle and say, when you're home against Norwich, Nicolas Pepe at this point in his career for Arsenal needs to be scoring goals.
Yeah.
And those opportunities, he's got to convert one of them. But he still, for me, gives us something that we don't have otherwise. Is just utter unpredictability, which I feel we really, really need, and I think he gives. And he does still polarize, mate. But I think
I'd agree. Just on that Pepe one, I think I'm one of those that he's an immensely frustrating player. I think, in that I think when he's out wide on the wing, on the touchline, I think he is bang average at times. But then when he's in the kind of what's the word, that kind of middle,
just inside the box,
middle third. Yeah, edge of the box. That's where you want him, coming inside or just running down inside the box. But then even then, there were moments on Saturday where I thought some of the things he lost the ball in some really where he really shouldn't have. But at the same time, he does take risks. He does give you something. So yeah, I just really don't know what to think of him because we clearly are better with him. I'm not saying let's sell him. I think we are clearly a better team with him in, but I just feel like there's so much potential there that he still hasn't realized. Because he's clearly skillful enough and talented enough to be, 20 goals a season player. But it's just his. And I think he probably could get it, but it's just even he could still get 20 goals a season, but I still think he'll probably do my head in because he still makes some really annoying. He does some really annoying things, and I'm just like, why are you doing that? And if he cut all that stuff out, he could be phenomenal. I think that's my frustration.
I guess you see the numbers some of these great wide players have put in the Premier League over the last few seasons. You look at Salah's and Mane's, etc., and you think that in terms of skill set, in terms of kind of just raw ingredients, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to do those things. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to put those numbers. We've seen him score some absolute screamers. We've seen him take on players in an incredibly unique way and way that only people who have got who are gifted with their feet can do. He can clearly use both feet, but like you say, it's like it's like you think he's a bomb that's waiting to explode, but when's it going to explode? I felt that at the end of last season, when we think back to the Brighton game where we were at, it looked like, oh, maybe this is it. Maybe we've got a bit more of a mature, focused kind of player. Let's hope we can get back to that.
Yeah,
because,
I think he's the type of player that, and I think this is always going to be his game, where he will just frustrate you for 75% of the game, but then he could finish the game with 2 goals. And actually, if he's doing that's okay. Right? That's okay.
I mean, he definitely should have got another assist. I think he put one on a plate for Aubameyang in the second half. I'm trying to remember the exact chance, but I'm pretty sure there was another one that Aubameyang should have put away. But yeah, no,
I think he created like 2 or 3 decent chances.
Yeah. So, on another day, but yeah, I guess we could say that about a lot of his performances. No, I can't disagree with what you said, Aaron. But to be honest, I think he'll this. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of blind faith, but I think he could have a very, very good season. I wouldn't be surprised if he went this season and kind of got numbers, like double figure, sorry, in goals and assists in the league this season. Like I could see him getting 10 plus goals and 10 plus assists, or, maybe even a little bit better than that. If he's playing consistently, it looks like he is going to get a good run on that left-hand side. So yeah, fingers crossed, because we're going to need it, aren't we, this season?
Well, this probably leads us on to quite an interesting question, because one of my frustrations with Pepe, well, not frustrations, but my issue is that if we play some Pepe regularly, does it mean someone like Smith Rowe isn't going to play? And then there's a question of who would you rather have in the side? And for me, I would rather have Smith Rowe in the side any day over Pepe. Because let's assume Saka is going to play, Aubameyang is going to play, Odegaard's going to play. Right. But
yeah,
we saw after Partey came on that we found a system that clearly incorporated all of them, which is very interesting.
And the Athletic covered that in a lot of detail, didn't it? And that was very interesting, because if we think that there's a possibility that that's what Arteta's always wanted to do, and now he feels he's got the components to do it, because I think only when you forensically look back at the things that Arteta has said, like that article in the Athletic did, does it all start to kind of make sense a little bit, where he basically has said, seemingly all along, I want to play 4-3-3, but I'm lacking players in 5 or 6 positions with the specific qualities. And now, does it look like he's just got his puzzle complete? And is that Arteta's team, what we saw in the second, after Partey and Emile Smith Rowe comes on, which is effectively, a middle three of Smith Rowe, Partey and Odegaard, with Smith Rowe, Odegaard doing kind of almost box to boxy type behaviors. There's a lot required of them, but maybe that's what Arteta was alluding to all this time, that's the qualities that he needs. Now he feels he's got it. And if Partey kind of grows into this leader that, he wants, maybe that's his thing. And geez, that gives us so much potential going forward. And it looks like it worked okay against Norwich, but, I wonder if it will work okay against better teams.
I think the sense I got is that is the coin of Wenger phrase, the handbrake off system. Okay. I think the handbrake on system brings someone like Xhaka back into the team and plays a 2 at the base. That's you think that's the Wenger equivalent of when he used to basically have 4 or 5 strikers on the pitch at the same time. So I'm bringing them all on. Yeah, exactly. This is like, I'm going to bring on an extra midfielder, play Partey on his own. And it looked good. And I sometimes think I think it sounds a bit dumb, but I think all Arteta is doing is just trying to build Man City at Arsenal sometimes. And it's like, well, this is a system he's played at Man City, thinks this works quite well. This is the type of football he's played at Man City, thinks this works quite well. I'm just going to do this at Arsenal. But he just hasn't had the team to do that for so long. And he's slowly trying to get there with ball-playing centre-backs, full-backs who can either attack and move into midfield or come and sit in the middle. And then just a load of creative players. Give it 12 months, maybe Aubameyang goes and we just don't play a striker, just like Pep as well. So I think he's literally trying to do that. And, if he does build turn us into a Man City light, that's okay. I have my doubts whether we have the technical ability and the players to execute that kind of football consistently, but let's see if it works.
It feels that when you've got Partey, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Pepe, Saka, Oba on the same pitch, that gives you. It feels like it's a lot. Do you know what I mean? It feels like there's a lot of a talent there and power, and if you add to it someone like Tierney there as well, and we saw Ben White being able to distribute the ball so well. I mean, what would you say? If it was at the expense of some defensive kind of stability, like, would you be in favor of playing that kind of formation week in, week out?
against teams like Norwich, yeah, absolutely. Like, why not?
I mean, I'm talking about not just teams like Norwich. I'm saying that, would you endorse him playing 4-3-3 potentially with that kind of attacking kind of talent on the pitch if it meant that, maybe we are going to be exposed every now and again?
I guess my biggest criticism or the biggest down like, what's the word, drawback of this system is you have one injury and the whole system just doesn't work. There's literally no one else that can come in.
Do you mean in the Partey position?
Just anywhere, right? Like, we're literally playing all of our attacking players, right? So if Pepe gets injured in that system, who comes in?
Well, you could argue someone like Martinelli could play.
I guess Martinelli.
I know what you mean. But yeah, we've got a couple of options.
The drop off is significant, right? And I think you have to readjust quite significantly.
I mean, I personally can't see Arteta using not yet anyway. Maybe it is the long-term vision and the sort of the goal, or where he wants to get to. Like, that's the target that he wants to get to. But I think for the next few games, like I've been saying the last couple of episodes, it's all about results. And I think, like you said, Aaron, and Xhaka comes back. I think it's for Spurs. Expect him to come straight back in. If Partey's fit, it'll be a Partey Xhaka, central midfield. I can't see him playing all of them. Just going kind of gung ho. Like, when you asked that question, Raj, about would I be happy with it as an Arsenal fan, I'd be more than happy with it. I wouldn't mind necessarily losing games 3-2 and 4-3, because I guess how it's been for the last 18 months, couple of years, whatever, it's been the opposite of that. And I guess if we then went through a season of frustratingly, like watching really good football and scoring loads of goals and being attractive to watch, but then losing games that we maybe should be drawing and drawing games that we should be winning, then you'd probably you'd probably look at that the other end and say, or the other way on the flip side of the coin and say, oh, we need to be more stable. So it's, do you know what I mean?
And I think, and building on that, I mean, if you think about what Klopp said when Liverpool beat Arsenal last season, and remember him and Roy Keane had a bit of an argument because Roy Keane said words to the effect of, like, they looked a bit kind of clumsy. They made they're a bit sloppy at times or whatever. And I think, what Klopp sort of saying is that you can't play the style of football that they play unless you have excellent defenders and an excellent goalkeeper who are going to be able to mop up for you, when you are committing that far forward. And maybe in fairness, that's what Arteta is. He may be able to do that now. He may be able to say, well, I can play the system because I've got the defenders and the goalkeeper that I think I need to be able to execute this. But I agree with you. I don't necessarily think that he's going to play that formation, kind of go into Spurs, for example, with that formation. But maybe it's nice just getting a taste of the future. And, who knows? I mean, he surprised us with how quickly he went with that back five. So,
yeah, definitely. All right, cool. So positive result, as we said, a much needed win. I think we pretty much discussed everyone. That we should probably give a mention to Sambi Lokonga, right? He's been really, really impressive since he joined. I think he started every game. I think he started every game. You wouldn't have thought that he's a sort of 21-year-old player with not too much experience. I know he was playing at Anderlecht. He was captain at Anderlecht, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah. So okay, fine. He has got some experience, but no Premier League experience. Young player, comes straight into central midfield, and he's been so impressive. Like, he's been another one of these players that, like we saw on Saturday, a breath of fresh air. And I've really enjoyed watching him, especially the fact that, especially when you've had, not to kind of go too hard on Granit Xhaka again, but when you've had Granit Xhaka for the last sort of 5 years, and then you have this new fresh face who is always looking forward and trying to pass through the lines and approaches the game very differently. It's just very, very nice to see. And like, I haven't seen him really put a foot wrong either, which is, really commendable, and could be a potentially like a really, really good, like a gem of a signing.
Yeah, I really like him. I think if I had to criticize him and being really harsh and really, I think maybe defensively he's not yet there, like, completely. But in terms of when he's on the ball, like, everything he does, just calm, confident, can spray passes all over the place. Really good.
The right partner for him is Partey, right? So I think the more that he can play with him, the better it's going to be for his development, but also just to get the best out of his positive qualities. I don't think Xhaka and him are necessarily a great combination because, like you said, Aaron, I think there's still some stuff defensively Lokonga has to figure out. But yeah, like at the end of the day, the thing that I was most concerned about when we were transitioning from Xhaka is, regardless of all the games that you could say that Xhaka has done something stupid and cost us in some way, regardless of all his deficiencies, there has been something around his range of passing that managers have felt that they cannot replace in our team. And they felt that we need him to set the tempo and we need his kind of range. What I really liked about Lokonga is he looks like he has that range. He's able to spray passes everywhere, and he is looking to get forward. So maybe it helps Arteta's mind. Like Miles, you mentioned that you can see Granit Xhaka coming straight back into the team on Sunday. Against Tottenham. I don't know personally. Like maybe if it wasn't for what we saw in the lineup against Norwich, and I know it was Norwich, but maybe Arteta has now felt like it's time. He made that comment. He made that comment, didn't he, in his post-match where he said, "This has been the most important, best 2 weeks of my career." Has something dropped in this 2 weeks? Has he gone, right, it's time now. I've got to do things like how I want. I've got to take the future state and make it now. Could that be it?
There's just something about Xhaka, isn't there? And I think we've spoken about it in our chats. Like, there's something that managers like about Xhaka, and I think when it comes to, I do hope I'm wrong, because I hope he picks on form, and I hope he picks on who's performed basically, on form. But I can imagine like the day before the game or a couple of days before the game, and he's thinking about those one or two positions where he's not sure, and the sort of 50-50 in terms of who he could select. And it's just like, it's so I can imagine it's so tempting for him to just go, I know what Xhaka's going to give me, and there is probably like a 10% chance that he's going to cock up and do something really, really silly. But he's been here and done it, and he's relatively solid, and he covers me defensively, and he covers that left back area when Tierney bombs forward, and he'll probably do what I ask of him. And he is a bit of a kind of general in midfield, probably not the general that we want, but you guys know what I mean. And I think as a manager, it's probably really tempting just to put him in. But I think if Lokonga carries on playing, like obviously assuming he plays against Burnley this weekend, and he puts in another really good performance, it does make it very, very hard for him to be dropped. And assuming Partey's kind of back and he's fit. So it's going to be a really interesting team selection for that one. I know it's a couple of weeks away, but yeah.
And it'll be, I think, interesting as well to see if we beat Burnley and if Tottenham don't win, then you can feel that that game will be a pivotal moment where we can, we may even be able to go level on points, and it may be a case where it's the point that kind of, really catalyzes the rest of the season for us. Because at the moment you look at Tottenham and you think Nuno's still playing a fairly like kind of compact, positive, in a good way style, but it's not very adventurous at all. And it's still very cautious. It's still very new manager trying to just get results. And I think they came completely unstuck against Palace. I think other teams will look at that and kind of go, well, hang on a minute. And so if they don't get a result in the next game, I think the North London derby, if we are in some form, it could be very, very, very interesting. And can you imagine what the atmosphere would be like if we play that North London derby with a real attacking intent? That changes everything.
Definitely.
But Burnley first.
Burnley first, yeah. Leads nicely onto Burnley, doesn't it? Another Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff, which is nice, and I guess with everyone else playing in, well, I say everyone else, all the big clubs, apart from us playing this week midweek in Europe. This week is an example of week of what we've been saying around no Europe. Let's take advantage. You get a full week to prepare on the training ground. You get plenty of rest. There's no need to rest any players. There's no need to rotate because of fitness reasons. We're not going to have any new injuries unless something really bad happens in training. So, again, it's a game that we absolutely have to go and win. Like 3 points is a must. Burnley haven't won a game this season. I think they've just got the draw from 4 games so far. I think Everton kind of tore them apart the other day as well. Yesterday wasn't it? So, but yeah, like thoughts going into this game, Aaron, like, are you expecting a win? How do you think we're going to
Yeah,
set
I think
up?
you summed it up pretty well. There aren't any more excuses. Window's done. He's got the players he wanted, and he's got time on the training ground to figure out how to beat Burnley away. Now that isn't, yes, Burnley away can be tricky for us historically. It has been, but there are no more excuses. And we've gone on about so long about how Arteta, with time to prepare, is the perfect tactical manager. So I really want to see a game plan that is refined and executed well with the players that we have. So yeah, I'm expecting a win. And I think anything less than a win is a failure.
Completely agree. And I think Miles' point is spot on. This is where we use the advantage. And now, like, we've got to stop playing Burnley as if they are this kind of mythical kind of creature, which, do you know what I mean? Which, regardless of what year it is, regardless of who's on the pitch, it's Burnley and it's away, and it must mean that it's going to be physical and we will lose. Like, we can't do that. And we're a much more physical team than we are now. I don't even think Burnley are playing very much like Burnley at the moment. I think they're almost kind of trying to be a little bit too football, which doesn't suit them. And we need to go in there and we need to exert our own form of dominance. Look, there's no need to repeat anything that you guys said. I think it's time, and I think that there is no excuse. We have to win. A draw is not good enough.
Yeah. And I kind of hope that the fact that it's a Saturday 3:00 kickoff, and we'll hopefully over the course of the season have a lot more of them than usual, because we aren't playing on the Thursdays anymore, might mean that we just kind of go under the radar for a few months. And everyone had the first 3 games where they could rightfully kind of just take the piss and laugh at us, but now we'll just quietly go on and start winning some games, beat Burnley, and then after that, is it Spurs after that? And then Brighton, I think.
Wimbledon and Spurs, yeah.
Yeah, Wimbledon in between. So, let's start picking up some wins and just quietly going out about our business. But I also really want to see performances. But yeah, let's go and beat Burnley, go and beat Spurs, go and beat Brighton, and
beat everyone.
Just beat, let's beat everyone. Yeah.
Let's hope so. But team lineup then as well, because I personally can't see. I don't think there'll be too many changes from the Norwich game unless there are injuries. Obviously, we know Xhaka's still out. I think El Nenny's suspended, so I wouldn't, hopefully he's not coming back in. Don't expect him to come back in. But Maitland-Niles, I don't know. I feel like that was something that was almost like a bit of an experiment in a game where, although the stakes were high because we needed a win, it was probably the game to try that experiment out. Maybe experiment's not the right word, but I don't necessarily think it worked. Like, Raj, I think when we saw the team lineup, we were together and we were like, okay, Lokonga, Maitland-Niles, that's a really athletic central midfield, but I don't think Maitland-Niles gives you enough presence in central midfield. Thomas Partey should be fit. He probably comes back in. I'd suggest he's coming back in at the expense of Maitland-Niles. Yep. So we're going Partey, Lokonga. Do you guys expect, assuming you agree with that, do you expect any other changes from Norwich?
I think Pepe might get dropped for Smith Rowe, if not on performance, but because I think that front three will probably work a bit better. And I actually really like the option of someone like Pepe coming off the bench. So yeah, that's my prediction, is Smith Rowe will start.
We're going to have to listen to you, Aaron, because you got the last one right, didn't you? I was completely wrong. Tomiyasu starting, Ramsdale starting.
Did I say they will start? I can't remember.
Yeah, you were like, he's going to start everyone.
I said we'll win.
Hang on.
Oh, sorry.
That was me. I said the back five.
No, it was Aaron. No, it was Aaron. Aaron and his.
I can't remember. I was the one who said we'll win 4-0. No, it's not 4-1.
And I said 1-0.
Okay.
I said 1-0, but anyway.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I literally predicted the game that happened, yeah. I said that we're playing Ramsdale,
in general,
Tomiyasu.
You should listen to me.
And I said we win 1-0. I predict the back five, and I said we will win 1-0.
All right, mate.
And you've not even...
Chill out, mate.
All right, well, shall we ask you for his prediction then?
Yeah, I know. It's going to storm off.
Yeah.
Going to do a Piers Morgan and storm off.
What did I say?
Yeah.
what I will say is I should agree with you that I can see Pepe maybe not playing, and I can see ESR coming in. But the only thing that maybe might change that particular swap is I think we all agreed that Saka looked quite tired when he against Norwich. He didn't look like his usual self. I know we've got a week, right? So there's a week between, fair enough. But I wonder maybe will he think, okay, maybe I'll just play ESR out left and I play Pepe on the right. But I think if fitness isn't an issue, I agree. I think that's probably the right thing that what he will do. I wonder whether he liked the idea of us being able to keep some stuff on the bench that we could bring off and change the game. And I wonder if he's therefore thinking, okay, maybe actually like I can hold Partey back for another game and keep him on the bench just for that impact. I don't know. I don't think that's a sustainable thing
like,
to do.
For example, against Norwich, I think it was clear Tomiyasu only had 60 minutes in him. So he took him off and then moved Maitland-Niles out there for a bit. And then Partey probably wasn't fit enough to play 90, even if he wanted him to. So, but this is the advantage of having the week in between. Players can recover. A tired Saka on Saturday will probably not be a tired Saka anymore. And one thing I really want to see is that back five just stay intact now.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. What I really don't want to see him do is say Burnley away. Well, maybe let me play Callum Chambers at right back, because no offense to Callum Chambers, but what we have seen is that doesn't always work out the way that you would expect it to, So yeah, why not?
I can't see him making that change because of how good Tomiyasu looked in aerially as well. Like he's winning every header. It seems like it looked like a big physical presence. And I think, kind of game that we're probably going to need that in. So yeah, hopefully he sticks with that. All right, cool, guys. Should we get predictions then, Aaron? What do you reckon?
I will go 2-1 away win.
I'm going to go 2-1 as well.
I'm tempted to make it full house. I think Pepe's going to start. I think Pepe's going to score. And I'm going to go... I really want to say 2-1 as well, but I don't want to just to make it different. I'll go...
Shall I make mine different?
All right, go on then.
Because it just feels like whenever we play a 2-1 game, we actually end up getting a third. I'm going to go 3-1.
Okay. I'll go 2-1. I think 2-1. I think Pepe scores. Silences the doubters for a week. Nice one, lads. Good shot.
Yeah,
Lovely.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Amazing what a win can do, hey?
I know.
Can win everything.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, as always, thank you so much for tuning in and listening, watching. We'll be back after the Burnley game with a big week ahead after that. Wimbledon in the League Cup and Spurs, obviously, a North London derby. But until then, guys, thanks again and see you next time.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.